My guest today is Ronnie Benbow, founding director of the Carers Foundation, who's been nominated for the Queensland Australian of the Year Awards and was the Moreton Bay Citizen of the Year in 2021. Hello, Ronnie. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Kerryn. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Very nice to have you here. And you're in Queensland, where it's a bit windy, so the signal may drop in and out, but we'll battle on. So tell me a little bit about where you are located.
So we are, you're right, we're right in the middle of a rainforest and surrounded by trees, and it's very windy today. So fingers crossed we can maintain connection. We're at a little place called Cedar Creek, which is down near Sanford, north side of Brisbane. So about 45 minutes from Brisbane, probably an hour and a half from the Sunshine Coast or the Gold Coast. So it's a great spot in southeast Queensland for people to be able to reach us.
And have you always been in that area, or what made you pick that area?
Okay, so we chose this. We moved down from, and we just chose it because it was isolated. It was really quiet. It's right beside a creek, so it's a very healing spot, and that's one of the main reasons we chose it for. So we could, bring our carers out here to do what we wanted to do with the programs.
So the program's been running for about 15 years.
Yeah, probably longer now. So what happened early days, because of my own caring circumstances, I was caring for my husband, and one of my 4 beautiful boys was unwell. So I always had this dream to do these healing retreats for carers to maintain their health. And so my circumstances where I was caring for my family, so they were a priority. And we were just privately doing and funding carer retreats up until 2015. And I was caring for my husband, who had a near fatal accident, and then one of our, as I said, 4 beautiful sons, and then both my aging parents. So it wasn't until my father passed away in 2014 I decided, well, now I'm going to do this, make my dream come true, and establish the foundation. So officially the charity's only been running nearly 6 years in August, actually, as a fully registered DGR charity. So it's fully tax deductible, which that's what that means. So people can donate and get tax receipts from it. So only 6 years for the official charity, but prior to that we'd been certainly doing carer retreats for 14 years prior to that.
And how far is your reach? Where do your carers come from?
Most of our carers are from southeast Queensland, but we do get carers from all over Queensland and all the northern New South Wales. We've just reached out into northern New South Wales. But having said that, we get calls from Australia, all over Australia, from Sydney, from Melbourne, Tassie, Adelaide, Perth, all over, because the Carers Foundation is the only charity in Australia that provides these wellness programs to carers at no cost to them. And it's quite comprehensive with what we do over the 3 days, just to sort of carers can connect and make new connections and restore their health, because they're usually at breaking point by the time they come to us.
And the age range is wide. I
Absolutely.
understand.
So we do. I'm passionate about the younger carers because often they don't get a choice to become a carer. Usually the other parent has left the family because they couldn't cope or they've passed away. So we do 12 to 15-year-old groups. We do 16 to up to 20-year-old groups, but then we do up to 88-year-old. We've still got 88-year-olds caring for their 60-year-old, disabled children. So all ages from all over Queensland.
Sorts of situations.
Conditions, yeah, absolutely. So the younger carers generally caring for their disabled brother or sister, or their mum or dad with a chronic medical disability. And as I said, 88-year-olds caring for either their partner may have dementia or Alzheimer's, or just their children, their aged children with, chronic medical disabilities that they've had. And, they live in fear of who's going to care for them when they go. So it's quite sad. But then all the in between with all the parents with children with disabilities and on the spectrum, it's just enormous. It's vast. Body, and as I said, behind every single condition, every single medical condition or a cancer, there is a carer at home caring for them that is often forgotten and not spoken about.
Yes, definitely. And these times with COVID and the lockdowns must be incredibly challenging for carers. It's normal for just people with looking after their own family, but to have an added layer is massive.
Absolutely.
So last year you started the Big Hug, and I just thought that was such a wonderful initiative, and people can tap into the replays, if you like to call them that.
Yes.
Just tell us a little bit about the Big Hug, because I think people need to know there is something there for them.
Yes, of course. So obviously, beginning of the year, we decided we were going to have this big major fundraising year, but that didn't eventuate, as we know, because we had the bushfires and everyone had charity fatigue, and then it went on to COVID. So I just felt it was, like people were living in fear. Nobody knew what it was. It was all very new, this hideous new virus that was sweeping the world, and nobody, we didn't know. Nobody knew. So it was just on the news all the time. It was doom and gloom. People were, so afraid, and especially carers, because obviously they can't get sick because they can't look after their loved one, and vice versa. Their loved one's immune suppressed, so they couldn't afford for them to get sick. So we were getting so many calls, and we just thought, well, look, it's so depressing. Let's just do something that can lighten the load for everybody. And we just decided to do the big hug every Friday night on Facebook Live, and we just sort of spoke about what we did at the foundation and the carers, and then we would do, dad jokes, we'd do trivia, we'd have interviews with our carers, and it was just something, that was lightened the mood, and we ended up getting probably over 10,000 viewers each week. So that was loads of fun. We did that right through till Christmas, so probably late May, right through till Christmas time. And they're all still available on our Facebook page, which is the Carers Foundation, and the website. So you can go there to have a look and just look at some of the episodes, which are, the interviews were amazing, just listening to some of the carer stories and, some of our therapists and people that have been involved with the foundation.
Yes, excellent. And who is on your team?
Oh, we have an amazing group of women and men that help us. And they've all, been carers. They've all got the lived experience of having had, they know what it's like. We've all been there. We all know what it's like to have those dark, dark days where you don't know how you're going to cope, how you're going to get through the next day. And it just allows them all to be so compassionate and understanding when our carers come through. So our carers know that. They know that we know where they're at. So that just makes it a really safe place for the carers to come and, feel comfortable, open up for the first time and talk about themselves, which they never get to do, and have somebody care for them. So we've got some amazing women. Janelle Watt's my main right-hand man, as I guess, so to speak. She's and my husband, of course, and my family. So we've got a great support team.
So one of the things that you have a range of programs, but one you were telling me about the other day is the Pamper Day, and
Yes.
That's one of the shorter programs. But just give us some insight into what happens for the carer on that particular day.
Of course, we all love to be pampered, and of course carers never put themselves first and never get that chance to do that. They don't have the time, they don't have the resources. So we identify that, we know what it's like. So we thought, well, instead of having that whole 3 days, because a lot of people can't get away for that time anyway, just for the carers that just wanted to get away for a day, and we bring them out and we have a beautiful morning tea, lunch and afternoon tea. But then, they get to connect with other carers. We'll do, it's still informative. We do the little workshops about stress management and how they can cope, but we do a lot of body work as well. So we'll have a beautiful full body massage for an hour. We may have some reflexology. We may do a beautiful facial for them just to let them, get rid of all that stress and tension in their bodies. And the young carers love that. And also for the young carers, we might do some makeup days, art therapy, creative therapy, just some fun stuff that they don't get to normally do. And just let them have the day for them, and just, it just lets them connect and just feel normal for a day.
And do they register, or how do they sort of get involved with you?
Yeah, so definitely go to our website, have a good look around. It's the www.thecarersfoundation.org. Register your name, and then we'll get in touch, and then we obviously notify you of the newsletters when the programs will be happening. And even for people, like carers won't do it for themselves often, so even if you can identify a carer that really needs a break, they haven't had a day off for 5 years, whatever it is, and that they're sort of not coping, hitting that crisis point, please, register them on their behalf, and we'll try and contact them and get in touch with them.
Is there anything similar in the southern states, or can people tap into any of your resources and help from elsewhere?
Yeah. Look, as I said, we're the only charity that does this in Australia for carers. There's not a lot out there. I get calls from all over Australia because people see us online and say there's nothing like this down here. When are you coming? And that's the long-term goal, obviously, is to go national with our programs. But in the meantime, just give us a call, contact us, and we'll see how we can help. Either with it, we do counselling online, we can do online courses sometimes, like COVID last year, we obviously couldn't have face-to-face contact. So we were doing online workshops for people, just stress management and talking and all that sort of stuff to stay connected for people. So most definitely just contact us, see how we can help.
So what's your long-term vision? Part of that I hear is to move out of Queensland, but what else would you like?
Yes. So the long-term vision is big. Look, really, realistically, we need a new centre we're outgrown, and we need, the centre would be like the hub for the Carers Foundation in Australia, but then that way we can have all our carers still come there anytime they need to. Like, they don't have to wait till we have programs they can come. If they're not coping, just come overnight, just get the help, the support they need, just have a rest. Often they just need a good night's sleep and someone to, give them a nice meal and give them a hug, COVID safe hug. And then it would be also a training centre, so we can train more facilitators, more volunteers, so we can expand our reach to get across Australia, where we can hire venues in other states. But then also make it into a corporate social enterprise model, so we can actually bring out, workplace people to have mental health days, wellness days, and be paid for that, which will give the foundation long-term sustainability. So it's a great, initiative, and we're sort of, planning for that.
Yes, because at the moment all your funding is through grants, I understand. And
yes,
that's challenging.
Very challenging. We used to get federal funding, but that all changed nearly 2 years ago now. So all carer organisations, it was all rechanged and all go through the Carer Gateway now. But, we're totally reliant on grants and donations at the moment. So we're always looking at new ways and, innovative ways and different ways to raise money for our carers.
So as I said, this is the month about influence and change. So what would you like to see or influence?
I think we just need to make more awareness about carers and what they do, because they're hidden away behind closed doors. They don't talk about it, especially our young carers that really are going to school. They're trying to live a normal life, but then they go home to care and no one even is aware of it. So I think just more kindness, more understanding, because if you see somebody out and about and they're grumpy or they're whatever, for whatever reason, there's probably a reason for that. You don't know their circumstances. So I think just be more aware and just raise that awareness and maybe ask or be kinder to people when they are having a bad day, because there's always a reason for it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're just a cranky old person. It just means that there's a reason why they are like that.
I often say don't make assumptions for exactly the same reason, because you have no idea until you've been in someone else's shoes. So I'm very pleased that we were introduced and we were drawn together because of a chapter in a book that you're featured in called Humble Leaders. Can you share a little bit about the book?
Yeah. Oh, please? And coincidentally, I have a book. I'll copy of it.
Good. Good. I'm glad you have it there.
Yesterday, a couple of days ago. So that's just hot off the press. That was just the first copy that came out. So I was approached by the Women's Network Australia from Janelle Bostock. It's a book full of women that, probably have all got stories, but felt that they really didn't have a story. Yes. And, when they said to me, I said, well, what do you want to talk to me for? I really haven't done anything. But I think it's just good to get that whole array of different women and how they've gotten to where they've gotten to and the challenges on the way and all the obstacles that you've had to overcome as you do. And I mean, as I said, who was I to think I could, start a charity? I mean, what was I thinking? I still think that some days. I'm still learning and I still don't know what I'm doing. But, if you've got that passion and that reason, you'll find a way to do it. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned along the way is just don't take no for an answer and just follow your heart and do what you know has to be done, because you'll always get knocked down, you'll always get no's, you'll always sort of get criticised. But I think you've just got to brush yourself off and dust yourself off and not listen to the naysayers and do what you know that you want to do, because it's desperately needed out there, what I do. And I've opened a can of worms by doing all this and all these problems that existed I had no idea about myself. So, I think it's just a great selection of different women from different walks of life that have done amazing things. So it's a great read.
And that's why I wrote a book in 2018 which also talks about journeys of people who are doing amazing things and inspiring others. And we learn so much when we have a deeper conversation, because when we meet someone for the first time, we don't necessarily go deep enough and we don't know what's going on in their life and what impact that they dream to create or are creating. And so my influence and change is to bring to light people that are doing things to make life easier, or to contribute to the welfare of other people in the community. So I'm really pleased that we've crossed paths, and I look forward to watching what's happening in your world. So in October, it's Carers Week, and I think you're getting involved with that, and it follows on from Mental Health Week. So what will you be doing in that period of time?
So that whole week, most of the organisations involved, in caring will be doing something, which is great, as it should be. So it's just more acknowledging carers, just making more awareness. So we'll be having a lot of probably additional Pamper days for our carers, on top of our normal programs, and just highlighting the fact of what these amazing unsung heroes do, because they're so selfless. They give up their entire life to care for their loved one, without a thought, in an eye blink. They just don't even think about it. They'll just do what they have to do. And, your life can change overnight. Like anybody at any time can become a carer just through accident, illness, injury. You've got a perfect life. The next day it's totally changed. So I think it's just great to acknowledge that and raise more awareness around our carers and look after them more.
Absolutely. And for people to know that there are people out there supporting carers, so that if you find yourself in that situation, you just have to keep looking, and there are people there that can help you.
Yes.
So apart from creating a podcast, I created a game last year which is called Conversations Count. And this, I'm not going to ask you the same question that I asked you earlier. So the question I'm going to ask you now is, what will you stop doing?
Oh, my goodness. I will probably stop not looking after myself. I don't practice what I preach at all, and I've come to a stage where I have to. So, and my sons are saying, Mum, when are you going to start looking after yourself? You've got to start practice what you're preaching. So, yes, I'll stop not looking after myself and start looking after myself, so I can, do a lot more for my carers.
Yes, it's that oxygen mask thing that they tell us about, isn't it?
I know, it's what I teach every day. The first thing we teach is you are priority, you look after yourself first. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to finish off, do you have a quote for me, Ronnie?
I do. I most certainly do. It's one that I usually say all the time to everybody, and it's like, just the smallest things can make the biggest difference. It doesn't matter what it is, but something really small is just a smile at somebody sitting on a bench, or just offering to get them a coffee, or just give somebody a call that may be struggling. But then, of course, my very favourite saying is from Anne Frank, and that's, nobody has ever become poor by giving. And it's a statistical fact that, if you give, you actually release a lot of great chemicals in your body and make you feel good. So definitely, try and give more. Give more than you take.
A wonderful way to finish. And people can find out more about you from your website. What was that address again?
Yes, please. So it's www.thecarersfoundation.org, or you can go to our Facebook page, which is The Carers Foundation, or Instagram at Carers Foundation.
And to read it, to get a hands on one of those books from Humble Leaders is...
Yes, it's got a little story, a brief story about how I've gotten to where I've gotten to, and my intentions, and how I'm going to keep fighting for the carers.
Lovely. And we wish you a lot of luck, and you're a winner in all regards. So good luck with the awards, but thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thanks, Kerryn. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.